What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. I'm trying to adjust my chair. We got a new table. I usually just use the dining room table chairs here at my desk, but we got a brand new dining room table that's taller than most Americans. Nah, I'm just talking shit. It's a tall ass table, and so it has tall ass chairs. Doesn't work out for here. Anyhow, let me start over. Welcome back to the channel. New video, just in case I forgot, because people be tripping when I don't say new video. Today we're going to talk about, in my opinion, the deadliest facility ever in the California Youth Authority. And to me, it's YTS. There's going to be people that argue and say it's Chad. And I'm going to tell you, whoever says it's Chad, it's because you're young. You were not in YA before Chad was. I was. Secondly, the other institution that I could say has a bloody history like YTS and could possibly maybe be in the argument would be Preston. While Chad is or was a very violent place, Chad hasn't been around that long. Chad opened up in 1992. YTS has housed, let's put it like this. Unless you're a parole violator who was already an adult, right? But still under 25. Over 18, under 25, and you're a parole violator, you may wind up in YTS that way, right? But for the most part, YTS was the California Youth Authority's version of Pelican Bay. If you were from Southern California and you were fucking up everywhere you went, as soon as you turned 18, you were sent to YTS. So I want to give you an example of how YTS is or was. So I remember entering the CDC, right? And hearing all the stories about how, like, in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and I don't know, maybe it was part of the 80s. I don't know. I wasn't in the joint in those years. But I remember hearing about the old days, how when you got there, it was the convicts you interacted with. If you had something coming, you went through the convicts. You didn't deal with the Judas, right? Well, when I got to YTS, that's how YTS was. I remember getting kicked out of Paso. And there was, I think, 4 of us on our bus. One we had picked up at Bakersfield Juvenile Hall on our way. And then I don't remember matter of fact, I don't even remember if we dropped him off in YTS. But I know for a fact 3 of us came from Paso. We had all been fucking kicked out of there. We were program failures, and we were sent to YTS. We get out of the van. The Judas bring us inside, uncuff us. Walk in, and there's a desk, right, that kind of goes around. And the Judas were off way in the corner. There was like 2 or 3 Judas, I don't remember for sure. Not paying no attention to who's coming in. It was the inmates, right? You go in, and they're like, hey, Holmes, fill up that first tank over there. There's only a few of us, but they'll tell you where to go, right? Then when you're caged in there, then they come over. Hey, Holmes, what are your sizes and this and that? And they'll call you over to the desk. Where are you from, Holmes? Because at the time, that's when, in 1992, that's when the director of correction of YAs, he changed the rule. Prior to 1992, prior to May of 1992, if you were from Southern California and you were a knucklehead and you were putting in a gang of work, they will send you to any YA, and you had to go. However, if you were from Northern California, raza from Northern California, if you were fucking up, if you were putting in work and doing all the things that people do, you stayed in, I think it was like 5 northern facilities, but you never got sent down south to be outnumbered the way we were when we would go up north, right? That changed in 1992. So every bus that went into R&R, YTS, they would tell people, hey, go on them cages over there. And then one by one, hey, Holmes, come here. You go up to the thing and hey, where are you from? and you tell them where you're from. Where'd you come from right now? They're trying to find it. Like, they're strapped up. They're ready. And once they realize, like, okay, you know, everybody's cool, then it's, hey, what are your sizes? What are your pants size, your shirt size, your boxers, your shoes, and everything? But you never interacted with the Juras. The Juras didn't even want you to talk to them, right? And I'll give you I wasn't there for it, but it happened not too long before we got there. There was an incident where somebody came, and the vato that worked in R&R was like, hey, Holmes, where are you from? And he said we were from, I know the two neighborhoods involved. I don't want to say the neighborhoods. People that know about this story know who it was. But he was like, oh, I'm from so-and-so. And he was like, oh, is that right? Okay, well, here. He goes, here, take this right here and put it on the ground in front of you. I got some more stuff for you. And instead of the vato backing up and putting his stuff down, he just bent down and put the stuff down. As he was coming back up to stand up, the inmate working in R&R had a weight tied to a towel and came over the counter with it. Boop, split him open, killed him right there in R&R. This was what they were trying to do in 92. It's C.Y.A. It's jail, you know. However, when they did bring the raza from Northern California, they didn't go through there. They went, the van that they came in, it went straight to the rock, the hole. They put them in the hole. They sat them in the rock. But this is a glimpse. YTS, I would say, probably had more murders than any Y in history. And because YTS was old. Preston had a lot of murders. But in the history of the California Youth Authority, and the fact that, like I said, 90% of the dudes in YTS, they were there because that's where they had to house them. You know, you had a lot of the veterans of all the Nellis and Paso wars, riots, gangbanging, and they had, I guess you could say, and it's not a good word because the word's kind of a positive word, but we're going to use it. They had elevated their stature to where they had to be housed in YTS. Also, just like the joint, YTS was run like the joint. They didn't play that. Like, they had dudes, like if a dude had got dropped leva in Nellis or got dropped leva in Paso because he dropped something on the floor, when they got to YTS, they were like, we don't give a fuck about that, homie. That's little kid shit. If it wasn't, a dude wasn't a rat, he wasn't a child molester, he wasn't a sex offender, shit like that, they were like, hey, Holmes, all that little kid shit that you vatos were doing, we don't play that here. And they'll tell you too. We also ain't using our fists, and we ain't using battery packs, homie. If there's a fucking problem here, pick up a knife and deal with it. That's how it was. I mentioned before, when I got there, there was a war going on, and it was 18th Street and 38 were together against Florencia and Crazy Riders. I'm gonna tell you right now, when there was a movement, and you got into that fucking the work area, the trade line, man, Holmes, everybody was looking around like, where are the vatos from 18? Where are the vatos from Florence? Because you knew when they saw each other, fierros were coming out, knives were coming out, it was going down, the helicopters on the way. You didn't see that in no other way. Again, Preston had a lot of violence. Preston had a lot of north-south stuff. I remember we always knew, like prior to 92, when they would send vatos from Southern California up there, they would always send like one or two. And the Judas would set them up. Tell them, hey, sit right here in the day room. We're going to get your bed ready for you. And they'd go in the dorm and tell the raza from Northern California, hey, there's a couple of them out there cheating. They'd go out there with weapons. Vatos from Southern California would come back. I remember this vato came. We were in SRCC together, right? He was regular. Vato went to Preston, came back, half his hair was gone. You guys, they fucked him up. hey, and he gets there. We're like, hey, what happened, Holmes? They sent you to Preston? Like, fuck, Holmes. They didn't even give us a chance. We didn't even know what the dorm looked like there. But that's how it was. YTS was more gangbanging. And their thing over there, shit. They could have a stabbing between, like I said, let's say 18 and Florence. Boom. They have a pegada. They have to helicopter the dude out of there. 3-day lockdown for them. Just them barrios involved. 3 days later, they're back in the fucking trade line with their knives looking for each other. You don't even see that shit in the joint. These motherfuckers, 3 days later, fierros, where they at? And it was so to me, that's my opinion. Let's hear in the comment section what other people think. But like I said, by default, by sheer years of existence, YTS and Preston trump Chad. Chad can't be in the argument because it wasn't around long enough. And the violence of TS and Preston wasn't going to let up, so Chad could never catch up in the big picture. And before I go, again, it's one of those things, man, where before I go, let's get to this too. This is how crazy YTS was. You couldn't have conjugal visits over there, but every 3 months they would have a dance, right? And I'm talking about in the visiting room, only the indoor part of the visiting room. They would have half of it was lit up, and they'd have like a bunch of Kentucky Fried Chicken there. They'd have a bunch of pizzas, whatever. They had the food already there. The institution did, right? And then there was another section that was all black, all dark, right? Excuse me. And they righteously had a DJ from the streets DJing the party. So for, the week leading up to the dance, you had vatos that worked in, certain areas that were able to go and stash stuff inside where the dance was going to be, right? Let me tell you, man. Going to a dance in YTS was unbelievable. It was like being in a neighborhood kickback. The area where it was lit up was one thing. Oh, and everybody, so here's the thing. You could have your homegirl pull you out, right? And have her bring five other homegirls to pull out 5 other homies. And we would get in there, homie, and when we would get into the fucking dark part of it, where the DJ was at, the Judas wouldn't even walk in there, really. Man, you would see vatos with a tumbler in one hand, full of fucking wine, and a fucking joint in the other hand, dancing with their ladies. You look to the side and you see people just fucking. Hey, YTS, the whole Y experiment, it was something else. My bad. I was getting a phone call right now. Hey, you were not going to learn a lesson. You were going to be a straight idiot. That's what YA was. Everybody's just a damn fool, including the damn cops. I remember in our building, we had a homie was the grievance clerk. Grievance clerk in the building in YTS has the most juice, period. Basically do anything. When they were going to have a unit raid, right? The staff would let them know, hey, they're coming. Get everything ready. He knew what cells were holding, what cells were slinging, what cells had contraband, and he would come through. And the Huda would wait at the whatever cell he told him to pop, the Huda would pop it. And they had these little bars where you just pull the bar and that cell unlocks, right? And the grievance clerk would go, boom. By the time he's done, he has a big ass bag full of contraband, and where he would give it to the senior officer, and the senior officer would lock it in his office until the raid was over, and then we all get our shit back. That was YTS, man. Those little bars that the Judas would pull, if the Judas weren't paying attention and somebody wanted to get somebody and they were in their cell, you could reach right through the bars and pull that same bar. Get up in that cell. There's a problem. It's a serious problem right there. But anyways, that's my video for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe. Be smart and tell the ones you love that you love them. I'm out.